What's going on, YouTube family? Tyler O'Connor here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight for more lake breakdowns. That's right. Tonight, we're actually going to go and do a little bit of a rewind here. We just got done with Lake Fork, and now we need to go back and fix some of the older videos that we did, just kind of do some updates, things like that. And one of the ones that we really had some problems with, actually, it was almost 2 years ago now, was Cedar Creek Reservoir. Just had some, it was back before I didn't really know what I was doing, had some bad editing, some bad music, stuff like that, made it difficult to follow. So I'm going to go back this time and redo 100% Cedar Creek. Tonight, we're going through our first Google Earth video. I'm sure this one's going to take a while. Stick around. It's going to be a good one. Let's go. Just like the rest of the breakdowns that we always do, we always start on the Texas Park and Wildlife fishing page. So let's do that again for Cedar Creek Reservoir. And let's just go through and talk about this lake as if we've never broke it down before. So the location is 15 miles west of Athens. It's in the area between US 175 and Texas 274. Surface area is 32,623 acres. Maximum depth is about 53 feet, and it was impounded in 1965. You can find the current lake level here, conservation pools at 322. This one doesn't fluctuate that much. We were able to find some pretty good stuff on Google Earth, but would love to have found more if we could pull the water down even more, but still able to find some pretty good stuff. Moderately clear, and at the lower end, to muddy in the upper end. So basically, when you get down by the dam, it's fairly clear. Kind of regular Texas, that little kind of brown, murky color, but the upper end, I've seen it get just extremely, extremely muddy. All right, aquatic vegetation, native, emergent, submergent, and floating, light in coves and creek arms in the lower end of the lake. There's really not that much vegetation. I don't know of any places I've gone in there where I found hydrilla and stuff like that. There probably is some there. I just don't know about it, but just haven't seen a lot of that. Predominant species, largemouth bass, blue channel catfish, and flathead catfish, white and hybrid striped bass, and crappie. When we go to lake records, click on that. We look here for the largemouth bass, 1465, caught in 1993. The length was 25 inches. Pretty impressive. Didn't see anything on the Sharelinker predator coming out of Cedar Creek lately, so I'm not sure if they still have the big ones in there or not, but I'm sure they have some pretty decent ones. I know they do because we actually won a tournament on this lake. All right, so moving on down, we go to angling opportunities. We've got largemouth bass, which are good. Catfish is excellent. Crappie is good, and the white and hybrid striped bass is excellent as well. Most of the vegetation is located in the back of the coves and in the lower end of the reservoir. So a lot of your bass fishing, at least from what I've seen and from my experience out there, you kind of want to stay more towards the southern end of the lake. That's not saying that there's not any bass fishing up on the northern side. I'm sure that there is, but the southern side just seems to be where a lot of the bass fishermen kind of tend to hang out. And then let's go ahead and just switch over. I don't think there's anything else out here to share with you guys. I thought there might have been some Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles, but I guess they don't have them here. I thought they did, but they don't. But I know where some are, so we're going to talk about them. Let's switch over to Google Earth. Let's get into this thing. Well, here we are in Google Earth. I'm going to go ahead and double click on Cedar Creek here. We're going to zoom in and see what we can find. The first thing I want to do is start over on the left-hand side over here and just talk to you about how we have this lake broke down. So first off, we've got several different offshore hotspots that are out here on this lake. We will follow up on a video after we get done with the Google Earth waypoints. We'll follow up on a video using Navionics mobile app, the boating app, to locate these offshore hotspots, show you guys why they're offshore hotspots based on the contours, things like that. So we'll get back to the offshore stuff here a little bit later. As far as the Google Earth stuff, this is all the stuff we found just by being able to draw the water down. So this is all kinds of debris and cover. You can see there's brush, there's stumps, there's all kinds of stuff to fish around on the shallow side. We've got some trees and some danger areas up here up north. We're able to mark for you guys. Also, lots of different ramps on this lake. Now, I haven't been able to talk about ramps lately on a lot of the breakdowns because there haven't been a lot, but the boat ramp pattern, especially when you get on these private ramps, that can be an excellent, excellent, excellent pattern to run when you're fishing. So definitely don't ever look past it. You may think it's crazy, but I'm telling you, go out and try it sometime. You're going to become a believer. All right, next thing is going to be rock. So there's a lot of shallow rock on this lake. There's not a ton like offshore rock, but there's a ton of shallow rock, like rock up against seawalls, rock around docks, things like that. So we're going to point all of that stuff out. Also, a lot of different, just different ponds and really a couple different roads to take a look at. So you can't really see it in this image, but if I zoom in a little bit, you'll start to see these little orange areas. Well, what those are basically different ponds that are out there that we've been able to mark for you. So if you zoom in right here, if you're just running up and down the lake, you're going to have no idea that there's a pond dam right here between these two docks. But because you have this, you definitely know. And then when we draw the water back, you'll see why there is, why I know there's a pond dam there. And then also we have channels and ditches. So if we draw this back, what we've done is we've marked tracks in all of the different channels. So basically we drew the water back as far back as we could get it. In this image, you know, the water's pretty low here, but it actually gets lower when we go into the breakdown. We're going to go down to 2017, 2016, somewhere in there. This one takes it 2014, and you can actually see the channel. You can even see it coming even further down here now. But we've got this marked with a track. And the reason why is because those can be really, really good areas to go fish around as long as you stay right in the middle of that creek channel and you really focus on fishing around the bends, the big turns, and anywhere where that channel comes up and swings up against the bank line. That is always a great place to fish. So pay attention to those tracks because those tracks basically mean that there's creek channels or there's ditches back there, and those are prime areas for the fish to relate to. All right, so with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the left. I'm going to select everything back on here. You already saw that we moved the date down to 2014. So what we're going to do, like we always do, we're going to start at the dam. We're going to work our way up this east side. Now, this is going to take a few videos, probably 3 or 4 videos to go over the Google Earth side, and then it'll take us at least 2 or 3 more videos just to go over the offshore stuff. So this is going to be a fun ride, but looking forward to going through it. So tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to start here at the dam, see how far we can get in about 25 or 30 minutes, and then we'll call it quits, and we'll come back, and we'll just keep breaking down this lake until we have the whole thing taken care of. So I'm going to zoom down in here by the dam. Now, if you missed it, I moved the date down to 11/2014 on this one. I had a better image, I thought, around 2016, but Google Earth plays around with me and gives me different dates. So here we're in 2016 now, and it's the same image from 2014. So as far as starting down by the dam, pretty good riprap down by the dam, good fishing down by the dam, definitely a good place to go down and just try to get a couple keepers, things like that. I've had a lot of success down on the Cedar Creek Dam, so definitely a good place to go check out. Now, when you're down here by the dam, you've also got some other things you could check out, like this little boat ramp right here. Kind of a little secret boat ramp. Doesn't look like many people like it's used at all, but it's not as obvious as some of those other boat ramps. So they could collect up on here. I mean, there's not. You've got the riprap over here where the deeper water is, but in this shallow little area right in here, that's really the only hard cover that they have to relate to. So if I bring that from up to 2022, that boat ramp's pretty well submerged. So fishing off the edge of that boat ramp, maybe even let's draw it back to 2021 when it's kind of normal. I mean, that boat ramp goes pretty far out there. So definitely take a look at that. I won't spend that much time on each one of these points, obviously, because we will run out of time. But I did want to show you that because I think, I've never gone down there and fished that boat ramp, but next time I go to Cedar Creek, I'm definitely going to, as long as the water's up high enough to cover it up. All right, so then moving over here, we've got some really shallow rock. Again, lake's got to come up. I talked to you guys about a lot of this rock is really shallow. It's up against seawalls, it's up on the bank line. But if you get that water up high enough, this all becomes into play and becomes a really good place to fish. So you got some pretty good rock going on right in here. We've got some offshore stuff we're going to talk about down in here too. There's like a really deep hole going on right in here. And there's a little area right in there as well. Then moving on up, we're going to go in here to this, I guess we're on the west side of Star Harbor. There's a little bit of rock that's pretty far off the bank line. This one's, there's obviously some shallow rock here by the seawalls. But if you look right here, there's a little pile that's right off the edge of this point. Now, that could be that somebody put that pile there or something, I don't know, but definitely something to go check out. Then as we move on up here, we've got another ramp, so check out the boat ramps. We've got some more rock going along this bank line. Now, this rock, again, is a little bit better, right? Because it comes further off of that bank line. This appears to be a fairly steep little bank line here, but if we move the water up to 2019, that's a bad image. Let's go 2018. It's not going to let us. Just doesn't like our images. Let's go back to 2020 then. All right, 2020, here we go. You wouldn't really be able to tell that that rock is there. If you were up there fishing around there, it'd be kind of hard to tell that that rock was there, but it's definitely there, and you definitely want to go check it out. This is 2022, so you'd be able to see it when you went up there, but that rock comes out pretty far. It comes out right in here, so that's going to make it definitely in play. So let's go back to that image that we were looking at earlier where the water was drawn down more. And we're going to keep moving up. Kind of the same thing here. You've got that rock around those docks. We're now coming around the point here from Star Harbor. So we're going to come around the point right here. Really like this point, Main Lake Point. Caught some fish off this as well. There's some shallow rock up around the seawall too. So if the water's up high enough, you can take advantage of that. If you move down here and you get behind this dock right here, for whatever reason, there's not a lot going on down here. But between these two docks, you've got this little isolated rock pile. So always good places to go check out and see if you can find some isolated fish there. Now, as we move further down, we've got some more rock around these little seawalls. So you want to check those out. Then we come over here, we get off of this point. We've got lots of rock along this whole little point right here. I've caught some fish here as well. This is also an offshore spot. And the reason why is I believe there's a pipeline. Is this the pipeline area? This may be the pipeline or it may be over here, but one of these has a pipeline that's right beside it. There's a buoy there, which might be what that is. I can't tell. That could be the buoys there too. But this area here, good offshore spot. Now, I didn't realize that, but if you move over here, you got a decent little ditch coming right through here. And I don't know if they would collect there or not, but there's always a chance that they may. It looks like there could be some pipes or something right in here too. So maybe just, if you're over here fishing, come over here and just scan, see if there's anything possible that could be there. Those pipes would be the only thing that they might get attracted to in that ditch possibly as well. Okay, so we're going to back out of there. We're going to come off of that point. Not too much to mark for you guys down here, just a bunch of docks. Obviously, fishing docks on Cedar Creek is kind of what most people do. So you definitely want to do that while you're down here too, if you like to fish the docks. Now, if we move over here, we get off of this point. This is a pretty good looking point right here. One, we've got some pretty good rock on the west side of it. And then on the north side of it, if I zoom in, now some of this, I believe, is going to be birds and stuff like that, but there's something going on the tip of this point. I don't know what it is. Let's zoom it up to 2017. Of course, now it's completely covered. But I believe there's some rock and stuff like that or whatever that is right here off the edge of this point. And that's a main lake point too. It's coming up, definitely coming up this arm, but it's still a main lake point. It just sets up really, really good. All right, so we're going to come off that point. Moving on down, you just got a little brush pile here. That one sticks out. So I say little, it's big enough to see it on Google Earth. So it's a good looking brush pile right off the edge of that dock. Let me back up a little bit. Remember, we came up here and now we're right there by the edge of that dock right there. So we're going to move down. Got some more rock around here. Got another ramp, another brush pile. So you crappie fishermen and you bass fishermen, take advantage of these brush piles we're finding. These are all brush piles they're putting up by their docks. There's another one right there as well. We've got some boat ramps. We've got a boat ramp there and a boat ramp here. Both of them definitely look like they could be in play. This little pocket in here, it looks interesting. Got some pretty good little pinch points going on back in there, but I just didn't see any cover or anything like that I could mark for you guys. As we move over here and we get off the edge of this little point, is some rock right here behind this dock. This is kind of an isolated dock, so that could be a pretty good spot to fish around, but it's also got some rock that's right there off the edge of the point, so check that out. We've got a ramp down here. Good point right here. This is probably going to be marked on the offshore side, but if not, you may want to check it out because see how long that comes out. It's got a really good tabletop on it, nice flat top on it, something you definitely want to check out. And let's keep moving. Another place, just while we're talking, just, even though it's not marked, also right in here, I don't know what this is. This is a creek or what, an old pond, but something's causing it to create this little ditch right here. And you'll notice, see how much darker it is right here than it is everywhere else. So it appears there's some kind of a bend or something, kind of a ditch or something that's coming right off this point right in here. So going over there and checking that out, might definitely be worth your time. You got a shallow spot here, deep spot right there, and then you got land right there. Or else another brush pile that's back in here as well. And then we come around those points I was telling you about. Now we're up here to the bridge. We get up around the bridge. Tons of people like to fish around this bridge. You see it a lot of times. Crappie fishermen are up here as well. Lots of bass fishermen up here too. So this is just a really good bridge to fish around. Definitely, pretty much all times of the year. There's some underwater debris around it and stuff like that. So definitely something to check out. As you come up here and you get by this area right here. Now this looks totally different now. There's a marina here. It just looks completely different. We'll move it up and I'll show you. But if you look right here, there is a major drop off going on right here. The problem is when we move it up, it's right by these docks. And so it's kind of a little bit harder to get into to kind of figure out where exactly that drop is. But there's a really good drop right around this area. And I've seen some people catch some fish around these docks too. So definitely worth going out there and looking at. Now let's go back to 2017, 2016, before that marina was built. And we're going to zoom around, just kind of see what we can find. Now we get in here. Now this is an interesting spot too that we're getting ready to look at, because right here in this image, it just doesn't really look like much. But it's actually a pretty good little area to go find some fish, and that's going to be back in here. It's kind of hidden back in here. When you're out on the lake and you're zooming around, you don't really even realize that it's even back here. But I guess before I talk about that, let me zoom back. Let's talk about this island really quick. All right, so this island looks pretty decent. Definitely, fish around this saddle area. And then you've got some pretty good cover on this side of it where it looks like it could be productive. Notice how that's totally different than everything else around it. And maybe even, over here off the edge of this point, that could be some shell beds right around in that area, especially where those birds are. So take a look in there. But I would look right in here, and then obviously the saddle on the island. All right, so let's talk about this spot again really quick. So I'm going to zoom this up to 2017. Now you can see that there's really two different ways you can access this, but it's extremely shallow. One is going to be coming over here behind where that marina was and getting back in here and then coming up this way. And then the way that I've always done, well, of course, I've only done it a couple times, is I came back this way. And I just happened to be back here messing around this creek channel because this creek channel looked pretty good. And I think I was even maybe right in here, just fishing around here, just checking it all out. And I saw a boat kind of come around this corner. I thought, what in the world? I didn't think there was anything back there. It ended up going back here, and it's a pretty nice little place. There's nothing. We didn't have anything crazy that we caught back here, but we did catch a few fish back here. So this little spot right in here around this point was a good area. There's some rock that's hidden down in here too. You can fish around. Again, this is extremely shallow, so if the water's down, it's not even going to be worth going back there. But you can see here, it's just a kind of a little isolated area. Definitely worth going, at least scoping out at certain times of the year. All right, so we talked about these channels too. Just some really good little creek channels, man, making some really good definitions, some really good cuts and around the contours and stuff like that. So I would definitely go back in here and look at this. Again, this stuff looks completely different if we bring the water up. You don't realize those creek channels are there. Not sure what happened here. This is from all the construction they were doing here, so it kind of wiped that creek channel out, but hopefully it looks better now than it did back then. Let's move it on up and see what it looks like. I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, there we go. So pretty interesting here. Now I forgot about that they built this. Now I've gone back in here and just to see if there was anything back there as far as spawning and stuff like that, because I heard that the bass will go back in there and spawn. My experience going back in there is it's pretty darn shallow, pretty flat back in there, nothing too crazy. But I've seen some bass boats back in there. So I would say at least go and check it out, just experience it back there. It's a really cool area. In fact, I think we caught some fish right around here on this side of the bank line. But there were people all back in here as well. So I don't know if that means that they don't know what they were doing. They were fishing in a bad area, or if that means there's actually some pretty good fishing in here. But it's definitely a huge flat cove. But if you come right here, This is where the old creek channel was, and there could still be some pretty good definition in there. And that's the part that people are probably going to go right past because it doesn't even look like there should even be a creek channel there, but there definitely is one there. All right, so let's keep moving up. We've got a ramp right there. We move on up and around. There's not too much coming up here. And I'll tell you, it starts getting very shallow in here. And I've wanted to go back in here. Every time I've gone to Cedar Creek, I've wanted to come back in here and just check this out. But every time I get up in here, it gets too shallow and I get too scared. I'm not able to go back in there. But would love to hear from some of the locals if that's even worth going up and getting into, because it looks like a pretty decent little river that you could go up there and fish around. All right, so losing focus here, having a little squirrel moment there. Moving over here, we've got some rock. Now, one thing to maybe look at is right here. This could be a potential pond dam right out here. And if it is, that would definitely be a good place to fish around. There's not too much going on up here. You got some underwater stuff going on up here, but nothing too crazy. And I don't even know what that's going to look like. 2022 kind of looks like the same thing. So just not too much going on up in that little pocket. Let's go back to 2016, keep moving on up. We've got the rock that's right here. So just kind of a very isolated area of some rock. And then you've got some just isolated debris back in here too. And then we get up in here, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I've wanted to come up here and get up in this river, but I get up here and I get scared and I don't want to mess up my boat. I've seen other boats travel up here though. So I'd really be interested to hear from some of the locals on this lake. Is this worthy of going up and trying to go and fish around? It looks like a pretty cool little creek or river that comes in. Looks like it has some pretty good bends and stuff like that to fish around. Unfortunately, like I said, when I've been to Cedar Creek, it's been when the water's been too low and I haven't been able to go up there. But I'm very interested to see if that is worthy of the time to get up in there. All right, so then moving over here, we're going to look over here. We got a couple different brush piles. These are huge ones too. Look at these two big brush piles here. Another big brush pile there as well. And then we move down here. We've got a little boat ramp there. As you swing around the point, one thing to look at is you got another big brush pile right here. Look how big that thing is. It's giant. The ginormous brush pile. All right, we're going to keep moving. We got some more ramps. Just kind of ramp city right in here. But if you look right outside of this ramp, this little personal ramp right here, there's actually a couple of them, just little slabs. But if you look outside, you got to get pretty far away from that dock. There's a massive laydown right here. And that is definitely something that could collect some fish. That'd be fun to go out and do a little live scoping on, all that good stuff. We're going to keep moving. We got ramps, right? Ramps. There's some rock around those ramps too. I guess I should have pointed that out. There's some rock around this ramp. Now, this is where it pretty much is just, I put rock because it's a rocky ramp, but the water, the water's going to be way up here. We're looking at the water when it's pretty far down. So remember that when the water's back up, that rock's now completely submerged. So it's going to be completely different than what we're seeing here visually. One thing to look at here too, I didn't mark it, but if you look right here, you've got like a little ditch or something going on right in here. And they may collect, just right around in that area, depending on how high that water gets. It's 2017, the water's plenty high enough for them to get back in there. So maybe just something to check out. Never actually gone over there and looked at that part, but now that I see it for the second time on the Cedar Creek breakdown, it's looking interesting. All right, so we got another ramp that's right there as well. We're going to come down here, got another ramp. We're getting pretty close to getting back down by the bridge. You can see there's not a ton of stuff up here, a lot of docks and stuff like that to fish around, obviously, but another major ramp right here. This is the Log Cabin City ramp. I love to launch here. This is just one of my favorite places to launch on Cedar Creek. We've also got some laydowns that are back here. So let's zoom in here and let's look at that. So right here off this point, some pretty good laydowns. Some isolated little boat ramp over here as well. Oh, looks pretty good. And if you get back in here where this kind of behind this little island, you got a laydown that's kind of out in the middle of no man's land. That's right out here that could be holding some fish, and everybody's just fishing right past it. So definitely a good place to look. Over in here too, you've got some debris. If I zoom in here and get outside this dock, there's something really big just right outside this dock. Imagine someone's probably put it there, some kind of fishing attractor of some sort. And then we're going to move down here. You've also got a pretty good ramp here. This one's pretty small. So if you're going on the weekends, this can get very, very full. So just beware, but definitely another ramp there. Now, fishing in this area is a good place to fish as well. You got a lot of cool looking stuff that's back in here. First off, you've got what appears to be like an old road or some kind of rock or something. So right here is good. Obviously, all the pillars on the bridge are good as well. You've also got a stump field that's back here. And I've seen boats just set up here and, set around here for days. I don't know what's going on back here, but definitely looks like a good little place with all those stumps hanging out. And then if you come over here, you've got this island, which is pretty decent to fish around. But if you get way out off the edge of the island, there's an old foundation that's out here, and you can see it clear as day being an old foundation. You see people fish around there a lot as well. So this spot right in here, this heavily pressured area, definitely, but a really good place to locate some fish. We've also got some ramps over here. We've got some tires that are outside of this thing, which are interesting. I think last time I came, it took me a while to find these. I was getting too close to the bank line, and I'd get out there, and I knew they were there. I didn't have these waypoints, but I remembered from the breakdown. And I got out there, and I couldn't get lined up to find the tires, but you can see them out here. They're right off the edge of this point, but not right off the edge. They're still pretty far away. All right, let's keep moving up. We got some more debris that's right in here. You zoom in and show it to you. You can see it just kind of all comes out here. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's just like rock or grass, really thick bushes, but it comes pretty far out there. And when you're looking at it from from 2022, you can tell there's stuff going on here underneath the water. So you definitely want to look at that. And let's go ahead and stop there. We'll start at this point right here next time. And when we come back, and we'll move our way on up this side and then come back down and keep doing what we did today. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos. If you want all these waypoints, you don't have to set through all of these lake breakdowns. We actually already have them on our website, simplisticfishing.com. Make sure to go out, pick them up. You can get all these waypoints put onto your graph. Basically what we do is we take the waypoints, we put them on an SD card for you, and then you import it into your graph, and all of these show up. It definitely will change the way you fish. So go out, check us out, simplisticfishing.com, and please go out and check out our sponsor, Omnia Fishing. The link is in the description below. Until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.